So are you writing a hard sci-fi novel, but losing your readers in over explanation of these scientific concepts that you love so much? Let's talk about it on today's episode of the StoryPod podcast, girl. Come on in, bestie. Welcome to StoryPod, where we do the doing of story development together. Brought to you by Creative BFF. Okay, listen, I am, as always, happy to be before you this evening for me, perhaps morning or afternoon for you. Listen, my name is Ashley, and I am your creative BFF. This is the StoryPod podcast, all right, where we basically flex these storytelling muscles, okay? We don't talk theory as much, talking about science, as we do the doing of it. You know what I'm saying? As I said in my super old intro. Listen, no shade to anybody who's talking theory because I love it and I love studying theory, but I also am someone who learns by doing. And so that's what we do here. And today what we're going to be doing is another favorite of the channel, of mine. Hopefully you enjoy it too, and you can send me your questions. We have a question from Reddit, but before I do that, girl, I'm all discombobulated because this is another after work special. Okay, so please forgive me. But if you would like to reach out to me, send me a question, or if you would like some story coaching services, some story development services, you can find me at my website, creativebff.com. You can also contact me there. You can also email me at ash@creativebff.com, but also low-key, high-key, you can send me an Instagram message. I think it's your_creative_BFF, and it's all linked down below. You can find me there. I feel like if you want to send me a question, probably Instagram is the best way to do it because I see that more quickly than I see any other location that you can contact me. So listen, hit me up, girl. Until you do, let's get back into this Reddit question. All right. So I'm just gonna read it. Okay. I'm just gonna jump right in. We're gonna read it. It's a little bit long, and the question reading might be longer than my answer because I feel like it's a little straightforward, the answer to this problem. But as always, excuse me while I avert my eyes. So it is from the r/sci-fi writing subreddit by Jin Kazama. How do you find the sci-fi accuracy balance after your nephew says it reads like a textbook with plot? I teach astrophysics at a research university, and I've written science fiction as a hobby for about 10 years, and I finally finished a novel I'm proud of about a near future asteroid mining with realistic physics and economics. Here's my dilemma. My colleagues love it because all the orbital mechanics and delta V calculations are accurate. My non-scientist friends say it's interesting but dense and they got lost in the technical explanations. And my teenage nephew said, and I quote, "Aunt Pat, this reads like a textbook with a plot stapled on." Ouch. I don't want to write dumbed down science. That's not why I'm doing this. But I also don't want to write a novel that only appeals to people with physics PhDs. There's got to be a middle ground where I can keep technical rigor, but make it accessible, right? The problem is that I don't really know how to do that without feeling like I'm lying to readers or being condescending. Like if I explain what delta V is in simple terms, am I boring readers who already know? But if I don't explain it, am I losing everyone else? I've been going in circles on this for weeks, and my publication timeline keeps getting pushed further back while I second guess every technical passage. For hard sci-fi writers here, how do you balance accuracy with accessibility? Do you have beta readers from different backgrounds to check if explanations make sense? Do you just accept that you're writing for a niche audience and lean into it? I'm considering working with a science fiction editor who can help me find that balance, maybe through something like Palmetto or a specialized freelancer, but a part of me is worried they'll tell me to cut all the good technical stuff and I'll end up with soft sci-fi I'm not even proud of. How do you folks handle this? So, this is very interesting, and I did look up a couple of terms. Now, I'm kind of like a generalist. I like to read a lot of different, well, actually, I'm gonna say this. My favorite genres are science fiction, fantasy, and like historical romance. So I'm not gonna pretend like I am the authority on how to write science fiction or anything, but I do have thoughts, and we can share these thoughts here. And before I share mine, if you write or read a lot of science fiction, especially hard science fiction, please feel free to leave your thoughts below. I don't have to be right. This is just my opinion as a reader. And if I was advising them, this might be what I would suggest. Now, before we get into my suggestion, let's define some terms because your girl did not know what delta V was. Okay. I am not a scientist. So the definition, thanks to the AI overview, which, listen, I feel some kind of way about it too. I don't trust a whole lot about AI. Really, I don't know. I've been seeing too many things on social media, but for the sake of this video, let's just do it. So let me read the AI overview of delta V. In astrophysics and rocketry, delta V is the change in velocity a spacecraft can achieve, and it's a fundamental measure of a mission's propulsion requirements. It represents the total amount of maneuvering room a spacecraft has, regardless of the direction of the velocity change, and it is a critical factor for planning space missions and designing rockets because it dictates how much fuel is needed for maneuvers like launching into orbit, changing orbits, or landing. How delta V works. Should I continue? Listen, I'm gonna give you the 5 bullet points. We may or may not understand it. Maybe you understand it, but listen, I'm gonna give it to you so that we can both be on the same page here. How delta V works. It's a total capability. Forgive me, as I said, it's after work, and so my verbs are going to be flubbed. Whoa! Forgive me. It's a total capability. A rocket with a delta V of 2,000 m/s miles per second, I think, can in total accelerate 2,000 miles per second forward and then decelerate 2,000 miles per second backward over the course of its fuel supply. It's a measure of difficulty. Different orbital maneuvers require a specific amount of delta V to complete. For example, transferring from a low Earth orbit to a geostationary transfer orbit requires a certain delta V, which is a key figure for mission planners. It's linked to fuel. A higher delta V indicates that a spacecraft requires more fuel to achieve its mission objectives. This is based on the Tsiolkovsky rocket equation, where delta V is dependent on the engine's specific impulse and the ratio of the rocket's initial mass with fuel to its final mass without fuel. It's influenced by gravity. The amount of delta V needed for a maneuver is affected by gravity. For instance, it's more fuel efficient to perform a capture burn when a spacecraft is closer to a planet due to the Oberth effect. It determines mission feasibility. By calculating the total delta V needed for a mission and comparing it to the spacecraft's capabilities, engineers can determine if the mission is feasible with the current design and fuel load. Now, second definition, bear with me. Let's define hard sci-fi, again, according to AI overview, because I wanted to have a better understanding specifically of what hard sci-fi is generally to people, okay? Hard sci-fi is a subgenre of science fiction that emphasizes scientific accuracy and technical detail, particularly from the hard sciences like physics, astronomy, and chemistry. These stories operate within the bounds of known physical laws, using scientifically plausible concepts and often exploring the impact of technology or scientific discovery on society. Are we already on one wavelength? Okay. What does this definition not say that it has to have? Passages and passages and passages of specific equations and detail about the science itself. Okay. Now, continuing with this AI overview, emphasis on accuracy. Hard sci-fi prioritizes scientific realism and logical consistency over fantasy-like elements. Focus on hard sciences. The genre typically draws on physics, chemistry, astronomy, engineering, and computer science to create its world and plot. Grounded in reality, elements are grounded in scientific possibility, even when pushing into speculative futures. For example, the science behind space travel is a common theme as seen in The Martian. Contrast with soft sci-fi. It is the opposite of soft sci-fi, which focuses on social sciences like psychology, sociology, and anthropology. and often uses more speculative or fantastical technologies like time travel or teleporters without strict adherence to scientific laws. Solutions are rooted in science. The problems and solutions within a hard sci-fi story are frequently rooted in science itself rather than magic or deus ex machina. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. So I think that it was very important for us to get those two definitions, because my question to this writer would be, if I was working with them, and to you, if you're writing a hard sci-fi or something that's utilizing a subject that you're very knowledgeable about, and that you're very passionate about, and that you know a lot of detail and information about. And my question to this writer is, are you, and I wrote it down because I had to help myself tonight. Is the story about the character's journey as they move through this plot, or are you teaching astrophysics in a really cool, fun way? Are you writing a novel, or are you writing a super interesting textbook like the asker's nephew said? And if we look at the breakdown of the 3 categories of beta readers that they had their colleagues, they had someone in between, which was like non-scientist friend, probably an adult. They enjoyed the story. Okay, so the colleagues loved all of the technical descriptions and stuff because they could get down on that and they understand it and they love how accurate it is. The non-scientist friends were like, I am enjoying the story, according to them. But you lost me with all of the technical descriptions, girl. And then the nephew, who represents another demographic, was like, this felt like a textbook and it wasn't interesting. And, so my suggestion would be to this person and to anybody who's writing something that could potentially have highly detailed information that is very niche. Identify what you're trying to do with this story, and understand that for this writer here, if she, and I'm saying she because Aunt Pat, if she decides to keep all of that in, she will be potentially alienating. If we're looking at this as a cross section, as the statistics of the area, I want to say genres, but you don't use genre for person, but like the categories of audience member, you would be eliminating or alienating potentially 2/3 of your audience. And if that's not your goal and you want to write a novel that can pull people in and that you can share your love and your passion for this, and this is an interesting story, okay? We're talking about a story. Is the story interesting? Is the story compelling? Are you interested in the story, or are you just trying to find a vehicle to share these equations and this information about delta V? If that's what you want to do, shift your focus and make it like a textbook for advanced high school students or for college students who are in this area, like an intro to astrophysics. And this could be a very interesting way to get them into this subject matter, into learning these equations and all of the things. That could be fantastic. And that could be a sizable market. Write a textbook. But if you're trying to get people most people who would be trying to pick up your book are not astrophysicists and they're not professors in the hard sciences, we're going to have to compromise. And so my suggestion would be, saying all that to say, okay, only keep in what is necessary for the audience to understand enough to move the characters and the plot forward. Do not bog them down with a bunch of extra. If you have, let's even say this, say you have, and this might even be too long. Okay, if this is like a 300-page novel, let's say, and you have one solid page of explanation, all right, I'll give that to you because we can just skip that. But if we're having every chapter, we're having passages and passages and paragraphs of explanation and equations and stuff, girl, I'm closing the book and I'm putting it down. It's like, okay, I was trying to be with you on this, but like I'm not interested enough in the story and the characters, because your love is these equations and I'm not connected to the characters. So what we're doing in a fictional story is we're following characters through a life event type of thing, generally, right? A change in, a character arc, a plot line, things like that. That's what we're doing in a novel. We're not here to necessarily, and I could be wrong and you let me know, we're not necessarily here to learn all of the ins and outs of delta V astrophysics. Only explain what's necessary for us lay people to get it. Okay. And that's what I'm going to say. That would be my compromise. Let me see if there was any other notes that I wanted to share. Let's see. Let me read back here. I don't want to write dumbed down science. And I want to address that if you give a simple delta V explanation, I think that the vast majority of the population who will be reading your book will not feel condescended to, but will feel grateful. Thank you, girl. Just give me enough. Now, if your total audience was advanced students in astrophysics and people who work on rockets and plan these space missions, girl, then okay, maybe they'll feel like, you think I'm dumb. But that's going to be I'm going to hazard a guess that the majority of your audience, unless you keep all of these descriptions in, girl, is going to be non-scientists, lay people, young people, teenagers, depending on the appeal of your book. So do what's best for them and for the majority, and do what's best for your story as a story and not as a really cool textbook. That's going to be my suggestion. Let me make sure I have covered everything that I wanted to say. Okay. But yeah, I do kind of feel like I want to drive this point home where again, I could be 100% wrong. So you let me know if AI is telling me a fib, okay, and taking me down the wrong path. But if hard sci-fi, if the crux of it, if the main characteristic of hard sci-fi is that it focuses primarily on real science and the solutions are real science based, basically, that doesn't mean that hard science has to have a bunch of boring equations. Ain't nobody over here trying to escape into a book of equations. Most people, many people will say, I won't even say most, unless I'm trying to go to sleep. That was kind of rough. That was kind of harsh. Hopefully that wasn't too mean, but that would be what I would say. And I don't even know if it's necessary to have having a good specific sci-fi editor, that could be very helpful. Yes. Because they know a lot about the genre as opposed to a generalist, but it might be good also to, again, give the book to other people to read who are not scientists, who represent probably the majority of who will be reading your book. Maybe if you have it like that, you're a professor. Listen, go to the creative writing teacher, the English teacher at your university, okay, and ask them to read it and to see what they think about it as somebody who just reads general books. I feel like even somebody who's not specialized in sci-fi, but who understands story and who is a reader and can represent the vast majority of your audience will be able to let you know. And that might be who you need. That might be who you need. Will let you know, yeah, that was a little too much. I didn't need all this extra stuff. Just give me a general idea of what it is so that I can follow enough of what's happening while I, have an emotional attachment to your characters and to the struggles and to the conflict that they're going to be going through in this journey. Don't take me out of the conflict and the struggle and the relationships and the characterization and the character development to teach me about delta V equations, because you're going to lose me. I feel like, number one, that's going to be my answer. Okay. I apologize if it was a little bit scattered. I'm going to blame the fact that it is, evening time. Please forgive me. but we're best friends. And so you understand, I'm sure. And I thank you for your grace, for giving me grace. And I also kind of apologize if that kind of came off a little bit more blunt and to the point than I normally would be. But listen, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Anyway, listen, have a wonderful evening. Thank you for spending some time with me, or afternoon or morning, or 2 a.m., whatever it is. Thank you for spending a quick little nibble, having a little snack of time with me. Okay. And listen, enjoy your weekend, and I will see you next week. Okay. Bye.